setting on, fist in the middle. If I ever lose, setting on, bigger and better. Hitting roller coaster, come bigger, bolder, faster. Boom, going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
Why don't you give a quick 30 seconds intro about yourself?
Hi. Oh, good. The mic's working now. Hi, my name is Ida. I'm the co-founder and the chief legal officer for Fluidity Money. It's a DeFi project. We build an incentives-based layer that sits on the blockchain, which is Ethereum. It essentially incentivizes and pays out rewards to users for just moving their assets. So that's where, and I'm also the president of Women in Blockchain Asia. Woo!
Hi, my name is Jin. When people ask me that question, I always answer, I'm a nobody. But we are somebody. That's what technology is all about. It's about community. But that said, what's my background? I'm 27 years an entrepreneur. I have around 6 startups, 2 exits. My latest company, I sold it to a NASDAQ registered company, and then I joined Union Bank, headed blockchain digital assets for 4.5 years. After that, I did my own thing, launched our exchange, and we have some other projects that have to do not so much with tokenization, but foundationally, how are you able to deliver a privacy-protected life regulation that's actually reach life? And one of the applications is in real estate.
Quick
That's why
name,
I've been invited.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much, both. The great thing has been this last year with NFTs, we've seen where they've tokenized a home and sold it, at least in the US. I think there's been 2 sales already. I'm curious what you both feel about here in the Philippines or other parts of the world when it comes to how can they take NFTs, tokenization, smart contracts, and how is that going to merge with real estate?
Well, when I look at real estate, I'm not looking at it like how do you do fractionalized ownership or any of that stuff. It's more how does the technology enhance the potential of what real estate can bring, right? So look at the existing experience that you have right now. When I purchase real estate, I have to borrow against it so that I can acquire it, right? That's the normal way that I do it. But tokenization allows you to be able to avail of invisible credit, right? Such that the credit is available to you before you actually even purchase it. And upon letter of intent, I can avail of credit. In some jurisdictions, it would allow for that. The other thing is, in real estate, if I purchase it, then it's an investment, right, into the respective country that you deploy capital to. So what are the benefits of that, right? The benefits is I receive residency, right? And if I receive residency in business operation, how can you enhance those 2 things? Right? So one of the things that we do is you can acquire property, but at the same time retain your residency in business operation in a tax-reduced environment. And with the use of blockchain technology, not so much writing, not so much for use of blockchain, but that's just a basic utility. You can retain your residency in business operation even if you purchase and sell the property.
Amazing. So I'm curious with entrepreneurship, if you want to talk through where do you see business owners, entrepreneurship, real estate, and Web3 combining as one?
Hi. That's a very interesting question, and I don't have a really quick answer to it. I take a different approach when it comes to real estate. I look at a problem as a now problem. You have bricks and mortar real estate, which is what you see. You buy an asset, you own it, therefore you can lease it out, rent it out, sell it. But in real estate, there is also the value that it attaches to the real estate, which is the strata title, the management, and basically the membership, especially in Australia. If you buy an apartment, you actually buy into the membership of that apartment or a condominium, whereby you can use the gym, you can use all these things, right? So two different values here. And so the question is that, how do you use the current technology in NFTs, tokens, and capture that value in real life here? The bricks and mortar is very simple, fractionalization, okay? So if I were to reduce it, it's almost like you're owning a brick, you know? And then when the property transfers its value, and whatever yield it gets, it transfers back to you based on the fraction that you hold. And you're right. If that were to occur, you are investing. But what about, it's not that. It's actually bigger than that. It's the value that attaches to the real estate without the bricks and mortar. It is the membership. It is the right to lease. It is the other extra components of it. But those, I believe, stretching it, you can actually tokenize that and extract the value of that and not see so much out of investment and actually monetize from that as well. So that is what I see is the real thing that is potentially is going to happen. It is happening, particularly on the fund management and the strata titles and the memberships and all these things that is coming forward. So I don't speculate in the future because it's too far, but in the now, in the current, is using what is happening now and using this technology. How do you connect them together and earn from it?
Thank you. Do you see then, either of you, no, we have one microphone, do you see that blockchain is going to make real estate investment easier or more complicated?
Investment. Let's break down that. Investment is really capital raising. From a construction developer perspective, is that you need to move your stock. You need to sell it, okay? So people need to have money to buy it. And then you have another one that is just basically the user, the dwellers, right? They invest because the ratio of the appreciation of your asset is 10%, let's say, per annum, with the hope that if they sell it by the next 3 years, they either even out or make a profit up from it. So it depends on how you're seeing investment. So let's tackle the first one, which is basically you got to move your stock. You got to push it out. Someone's got to buy it, okay? And that's where blockchain comes in handy through tokenization in many ways. Tokenization, the real estate, is a way of raising capital that allows you to basically move your stock, move your assets. I'm not going to go into detail into it because there's not enough time. Then I look at the other one, is the ownership. I want to buy because I want to sell, I want to speculate it in that sense. 15 minutes left, thank you. All right. And so the problem is access to it. Many of us can't buy a whole house, a whole real estate, because it's just too expensive. So here, again, the fractionalization occurs. Because your interest is really, I buy something, I may not live in it, but I can rent it out, even on a fraction basis, because the yield is tied to your percentage on your fraction. So even if the next 3 years, for example, the property gets sold, or your NFT gets sold that is tied to it, you still get a yield, but not the whole entire block asset yield. Yeah.
So just building on that, so I'll give you a use case that we have. If you're going to purchase property, right, the value of it is how soon can you buy it. And in smart city development, the best time to get in is when the smart city is being built or planning stage at the very beginning. So the question is it possible for you to purchase fractional ownership, maybe on a per square meter basis, and then structure that as a voucher in order for you to purchase that before the foundation is built? After which you can reconstruct per square meter in order to acquire the property. Right? What that does is, let's say I'm going to be developing a large scale, 30-hectare development or something like that. Normally I would have to acquire it, then I get a land loan, right? Which covers for another 30 to 40%, and then I make profit another 30%. So I basically can double my investment. But if I can sell to the foreign market, right, those vouchers, in order to be able to fund that 30%, I don't have to pay on credit. There's no interest there, right? And I already have a captured 40% or 30% of owners on the property that will bring in another community that can potentially purchase the remaining 30%, right? So to an investor, actually to a creditor, it's a safer investment. To the buyer, it also makes sense because I'm acquiring it, and it's at the lowest possible cost because I'm getting into the pre-construction, pre-planning stage, or at the right point in time. Not pre-construction of the building, but pre-construction of the entire city itself. Right? So I see that as one of the largest applications out there, right? Where you can see real benefit up front, where you can build now large communities, right? With a minimum amount of capital, without having to go to creditors and going through the entire process. Right? The difficulty here is really with the regulators themselves. You have to go through IOD, you have to consult with multiple legal teams, and you have to make sure that you're operating within the parameters allowed by law, because this is such a regulated industry. And truth be told, like an art team, a large chunk of our entire team is just employees. Right? Just to make sure that every step we take is aligned with what regulatory approval states. But real estate, I would say, is one of the most exciting parts because it hasn't been disrupted for so many decades and millennia. But with this application, with this technology, and if you see how it can be applied, the effect is tremendous. I mean, you can really make a difference in space.
Yeah, it's incredible. So last year there was a big rise in virtual real estate, right? There was different platforms that were selling real estate. There's even a company called Copy that was certifying real estate agents around the world to sell virtual real estate, which is interesting. So what are your thoughts on, it seems like the virtual real estate is taking quite a bit of a downturn. What is your thought on the future of platforms selling virtual real estate, and how is that going to be?
I see no difference from speculative in the traditional finance. Just a little bit of context, I used to be an M&A lawyer. I deal with derivatives, securities, speculations, okay? Let's show what happens, okay? Researchers will go out onto the fields, in lands. They will scan for minerals. It will pick up a mineral. They will then write a report that says, in this ground, there is so many percentage of oil, gold, and things like that, okay? And this is real in the traditional finance, and essentially from that, you speculate. You then sell it, and people buy. You haven't dug it yet, but you buy with the hope, buy it low, with the hope that when the digging and everything comes in, you have made your money. You take that concept, and you flip it and apply it on the virtual lens and the metaverse. So that I see they're speculating it, like digging the gold, not digging it, but basically getting the research and speculating in it, so that when the right time comes, and I don't know what is the right time, what is the unveiling of it, just like the gold in the land, you
That's
are
not-
able to then reap the yield of it because the price has shot up, and then you can sell it.
That's cool.
As a business, it is fantastic because your investment is pixels and you're selling it for 10, 20, 30, $40,000. I mean, it's like, what kind of business is going to give that to you? But at the same time, is that business sustainable? Can you really extract value from something that was just made from thin air? FTX, for instance, FTT token, it's the same thing. You're making that metaverse real estate from thin air. And in reality, anybody can make it, right? So it's all dependent on how good I can market it, how cool the product is, how many people am I going to get as part of that community. And that kind of reminds me of several projects I was looking at on real estate, virtual real estate. This was like, what, 15 years ago? This is not new. This is really old stuff. And I recall there was this planet that was sold in the virtual space for over $1 million, and then he was selling fractionalized, properties in his planet for another couple of $100,000. The guy made tons of money, but where's that project right now? And history repeats itself. I challenge you to think: are there any metaverse projects in the next couple of years that are going to last? Is that something that's really going to be around, or is it going to be real estate, actual physical real estate that's enhanced by the metaverse? It's an enhancement. It's not the product itself. How many people here can actually live with AR, VR goggles 24 hours a day? Can you please raise your hand? Nobody can do that. I hate it. I mean, if I put those AR, VR in my head, even my glasses, if you notice, I have to keep putting it down. I can't live with my own glasses. What makes you think I can live with AR, VR? Right? So, to think that you're going to live in that world is a little hopeful. I love a discussion like this. I like to be able to shake your hand. I like to be able to sit on a physical chair, right? And I like to be able to walk around and meet people. That's what the human experience is all about. But what's the metaverse? It's a distortion of reality, which we otherwise would rather not live in, right? But it could be used as an enhancement. Yes, it adds tremendous value to real estate, the real stuff. But on its own, I think it's a long shot, right? And I think time will tell whether these metaverses 6 months, 12 months down the road are still there. Let's meet later down and see how many of them survive.
You bring up a good point. I think younger generations have different viewpoints, right? If you ask different people at different ages, they'll tell you something different in terms of glasses, VR, like you mentioned, time spent in Roblox. What do you think, or what are you seeing as maybe some trends, or your thoughts on younger generations and how they're going to see real estate, and how obviously they're already entrenched into technology and the merging of those things?
In gaming, it'll survive.
I disagree.
And until the large guys get in, right? The current players right now are riding the hype, but the big players are going to come in, and they're going to start, just in the same way that they've dominated the space, they'll dominate it again, right? So I think in terms of the current players, it's temporary, short-lived, a lot of money to be made, right? But in the long term, it's still going to be the incumbents that are going to survive.
Yeah. How many gamers are here? Can I just have a feel? I'm not talking about the Web3 gaming. I'm talking about the League of Legends, the Warcraft, and things like that. Okay. Now, here is the thing. Okay. That is actually a Web2 game. Web2 game is actually very siloed. You live within your community, and you do not want to actually port it out. Your asset, you do not want to port it out, and things like that. Web3 promises, I emphasize on the word promises, that from the gaming perspective is that your assets will be ported through multiple metaverses and things like that. And this is where I continuously find the difficulty in reconciliation, because in gaming, you have to look at the game economics, which is siloed, kept in-house. In tokenomics, tokens, composability is very important. It needs to move. It needs to move from one chain to another chain and be able to trade in everything, because that is so important. So you look at that, they're polar opposites. So where is the amalgamation and connection? To be honest, if you speak to a lot of people in the gaming, that has not been answered yet, and that remains the biggest crunch. And if you apply on the metaverse and all these things that be tied together, I still don't see how it's going to work. So I have my reservations in terms that the future of gaming tied to the metaverse is just going to be explosive, because of this fundamental connection to three, on just purely on the game economic side. I have not seen anyone solving it.
When you look at play to earn, it's completely dependent on that flip that you just bought being sold to somebody else after. It works when the market's going up. The question is what happens when it goes down. You earned it, but tomorrow it's worth 50% less. The day after that, it's 50% of 50%. So it looks cool when it's going up, but everybody just steps back when it's going down. Right? There has to be something that's more consistent. There has to be something that will survive and that's a little bit more stable. And unfortunately, the crypto market's not that.
Thank you both. So to finish up, give us one word that describes how you're feeling about real estate, blockchain, and Web3 combining as we go in the future. What's one word that, how are you feeling about it?
One word.
One word.
You start, Rose.
That's a hard one.
Exactly, one word.
You can do a hyphen, maybe 2 words together. All right, we'll go with one sentence.
One sentence. It's a very new, it's an old industry. The technology is new. The marrying of it is so experimental. All I would say is we're optimistic, and see how it goes, really.
It's fitting a square in a circle. And if you can fit a square in a circle, go ahead, but a circle is still a circle, right? And the trouble there is when people when they fall in love with the technology, expecting that the technology will kind of fit when it doesn't really fit. So the winners are going to be the ones that can recognize the circle, and they can leverage on what that circle can give.
Incredible. Thank you both. Give it up for them. Really appreciate this. Really important.
Anyone has a question as they leave? Hold on.
We have time?
Yeah. Hold on. Because I need to run. It's a very, very straight answer.
Okay. You want to come?
You said you can raise money, and how are you going to use the money? Will you buy real estate for the money, or are you going to use it in a different way? That would be nice.
Okay. The raising of the money via the raising of the tokens defaults back to how a standard token raising occurs. How it is distributed, again, defaults back on generally how token raising and token distribution occurs. It's not rocket science. It's not a new thing. How do you know it? Read the white paper. The person who's doing it, they have to set it out. They have to say this is how it's going to be distributed. They have to say that so much money goes to the treasury, and how it's going to be yielded back. All these things, by right, should be presented, captured, written in a white paper where the token raise proposal is being given out to the public.
Do you want the real answer or the Miss Universe answer to that one?
Real one. We're not in this universe, so it's okay. We're in Philippine Blockchain Week.
No, because you're asking a question about how to raise funds. And it seems like the whole industry just revolves around that, right? It's driven by greed and profit. So that's another example of trying to fit the square in a circle. I mean, your tokenomics, most of the time, is Ponzinomics. That's why we are where we are right now. FTX is not the first case, it's not the second, it's pervasive. That model is across the entire industry, right? And the manipulation of a fundraise in order to be able to raise funds in an unfair manner to fund a project that has nothing to do with the token raise at all is there. And you have to, like Peter was saying, take a look at the white paper, because the white paper 99% of the time is going to show you that it just doesn't make any sense. And if it doesn't make sense, run away as fast as you can.
Thank you. All right.
Philippine Blockchain Week. See you next year.